Well, hello there. It's Paul Mash TV time again. Thank you so much for joining us. We got a great interview coming up for you shortly. But don't forget about the subscribe and bell buttons below you there, and you're always going to be notified of any new episodes coming your way. And check out the what I have in the description. It'll show you how to contact me. And we also have that at the closing credits at the end of the show as well, so stay tuned for that. From Los Angeles, California, today we have John Bermuda Schwartz. He's a drummer from Weird Al Yankovic, and we had him on a show about 11 and a half years ago, and he's updating us on some stuff. So we'll get to that in a second, but first there's a quick word from Galtar, the guitar made specifically for a woman. So don't go away. We'll be right back right after this.
Ready in 5.
Darling, when nothing else seems to match up. Galtar, the musical apparel that fits any outfit. Galtar, bringing heaven to earth, one gal at a time. GaltarHeaven.com.
Okay, we're back, and with us from Los Angeles, California, we have the drummer from Weird Al Yankovic here, John Bermuda Schwartz. And
Hello.
yeah, well, thanks for coming on the show again, John. And I say again because about 12 years ago, as of this calendar year, I began my career as interviewing, and John was the first interview I did that was ever aired on Ben TV, which was a show that was centered in Melbourne, Australia. And I still remember to this day when I first interviewed you, and I really enjoyed doing that with you, John. And
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed it as well.
yeah, and I remember not long after that, I remember Ben had a benefit going on. I remember he asked me to ask you if you could donate something to it, and I remember you you did donate something to it, and it was a very successful benefit altogether, and he wanted me to thank you for that. So,
Well, good. Well, my pleasure.
so tell us a little bit about what's been going on. I mean, I know a lot has been going on these 11 and a half years that we've been on, that I interviewed you, but maybe you could tell us briefly.
Well, I think we left off, I think, at the end of 2012, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, since then, I guess the next thing that happened in 2014, Al released the Mandatory Fun album, which one was a number one. It debuted at number one on the Billboard charts, which was very, very cool. I mean, that's our highest charting album. I mean, we've had some top 10 albums before, but that was number one. That came in at number one. That's on the Billboard 200. That's like the real Billboard charts, not just the comedy charts. And that was extremely cool. I mean, that was great to have that happen. We were up against oh boy, I forget, not John Mayer, but Jason Mraz, and who we refer to as Mr. A to Z, M-R-A-Z, Mraz. Anyway, it was neck and neck. You know, you get information from Billboard about kind of where you're starting to come in on the chart, you know, if you're up that high, you know, how your sales are. And we were like neck and neck with him. And we thought, well, you know, if we get a number 2 album, that would be okay. But we beat him. We came in at number 1. So that was a momentous album for that reason, Mandatory Fun, but also because Al was able to sever his contract with Sony. He had been under a record contract for 32 years or something like that. Since 1982 is when he first signed the contract with Scotti Brothers. And he was able finally to not have a record contract after that album, of course, and which frees him up in a lot of ways and, allows him to, when he's got an idea to record something, he can release it fairly immediately, like within days, rather than under the album contract. Well, you need 12 songs. We only release albums. We're not really releasing singles, you know, until you have 12 songs, and then we'll pick one to be a single. But you don't just record a song and we put it out there. It doesn't work that way. Well, it does now with Al. And we've done a couple of those, not a whole lot, really not any parodies since then. I mean, in 2014, well, it's coming up on 10 years now. But there have been a couple of polkas that came out, a Hamilton polka. He did polkas of a couple of Portugal the Man songs, kind of at their request, actually. So he and I recorded, polka versions using their vocals and some of their tracks, and did kind of and Polka-Fi did like a polka remix, basically, of a couple of their songs. What else? We, of course, recorded some music for the movie Weird, the Al Yankovic Story, which came out on Roku at the end of 2022. There's actually a double LP album that came out, and the band re-recorded several of the early songs, like A Surgeon and I Love Rocky Road and My Bologna and some things like that. Another one, Rides the Bus. We went in the studio, and I brought in a case, and we actually recreated the spontaneous version of Another One Rides the Bus, which again wasn't really planned out on the Dr. Demento show. Now we have a chance to come in and plan it out, and basically Al and I recreated a nice sonically perfect version of the Dr. Demento version. So that came out. We also recorded a new song, an original called Now You Know, and that's a song that ran under the ending credits for the movie. And that technically is a single that appears on this double album, this soundtrack album that came out. Well, we've been touring. We toured of course, on Mandatory Fun. We toured, I believe, in 2014, 15, maybe 16, something like that. We traveled. We did a tour in 2018. We did a stripped down tour. No videos, no costumes. We went out and just played as a 5-piece band. No tracks, no nothing. We did all the playing, all the singing, and we did basically all originals. And every night was different. We rotated about 35, 36 of Al's original songs, and every night was a different set list. We would do a short medley at the end of some of the parodies, kind of a not an acoustic medley, but just a different versions, just sort of a twisted, unexpected versions of I think like A Surgeon and a couple other things. And White and Nerdy got turned into a Latin thing, or stuff like that. And then we would come back for the encore, and we would do a straight cover song, Honky Tonk Woman, or we did 77. We learned 77 cover songs to play one time each at the end of these 77 shows in 2018. And you would think I could think of more than one or two songs, and I think we did "It's the End of the World as We Know It" by REM. We did "Smoke on the Water" by Deep Purple. We just did all sorts of impossible songs. "Classical Gas" by Mason Williams, "Funeral for a Friend" by Elton John, "Crocodile Rock" by Elton John. Just songs that we thought would be fun. Songs that Al liked. Some of the songs I suggested we do. Anyway, so every show was unique. It was a different set list, and there would be a different cover at the end of the night. And for those people the fans that were on the borderline for wanting to see more than one or two shows, would start coming to several shows because they wanted to hear all the different originals we would do, and they wanted to hear the different cover song that we would do. 2019, we came back and we picked up with the full production with costumes in the video, and something we learned on the 2015 on the Mandatory Fun tour. When we played the Hollywood Bowl, we did 2 nights at the Hollywood Bowl here in LA. We headlined the Hollywood, which is pretty cool. And 2 nights, let alone even one night. And the deal with the Hollywood Bowl was for the summer series, if you play there, you have to hire their orchestra. Otherwise, you're taking over their venue and putting them out of work. So you hire their orchestra to play with you. They write charts, they get your set list. They say, what are you going to play? We're going to write charts for you, and don't worry, we'll make it nice and all that. But, you are hiring us for the night. So everyone that played, I think it happens every year, the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra plays behind you. So they sent kind of recordings of kind of keyboard versions of the parts we could expect them to play. I mean, they were orchestrating parts for songs that never had horns or strings on them. Obviously, Smells Like Nirvana, didn't have, Now, songs like Jurassic Park that had all that stuff, that was great because now they're playing it live. It was so cool. Anyway, we rehearsed the whole show with them the first afternoon, and it was great. And it was flawless. I mean, they really did their homework, and we were just really, Al was particularly impressed. And immediately, this is like 2015 or 16, got it in his head that he wanted to do an orchestral tour. Well, the next tour, he already had the plan for the stripped down tour in 2018, but 2019 came the strings attached tour as opposed to no strings attached. Well, this is with the orchestra, percussion section, the whole thing.
Right.
And we did, I forget how many dates we did, but a very successful tour. And we had a couple of different versions, of the show, but like one song would be switched out for another song every other night. But essentially, it was the same show. And we carried the conductor with us because the conductor, of course, had to know our show. But every city we went to, they would hire an orchestra, or they would hire musicians and put together an orchestra called a scratch orchestra. And we had some good groups play with us. At Wolf Trap, we had the National Symphony. In Colorado, we had the Colorado Symphony. I mean, we had some groups that were like groups that worked together, and we had a lot of organizations where they just hired out, 40 or 50 people, and that became that night's orchestra. They did that in Los Angeles when we played the Greek Theater, which is not to say it was bad. I mean, they had all the charts and sounded great, But again, we carried the conductor so there would be some consistency because he knew the show. And the way it worked was the conductor would be, of course, the orchestra is behind us, and the conductor is in the center of the stage, more or less behind Al, and kind of off to the side of me. So I can look this way, and he can look this way, and we can see each other in case there's certain cues. He knew if I cued the ending of a song, if Al cued it, if maybe the bass player cued the ending, he had to know all these things. That's why it was important to have the same guy with us this whole time. Mm-hmm. A very successful tour, and we had a great time. Fans loved it. Played some great venues. We sold out Red Rocks. I mean, we really did great with that tour. The 2018 Vanity Tour did so well that we reprised it. Now, COVID came along. 2020 was going to be a year off for us anyway. We thought we were going to go out in 2021. Didn't quite make it. Booking agency William Morris said, this COVID thing is it's a little iffy for booking venues and getting people to come out. Let's not chance it. Let's wait another year and we'll do it big. And in 2022, we did it big. We went out for 27 weeks, which is 6 months and a week, without any breaks. And we did this stripped down show. Now, we didn't, learn 77 new cover songs to do that. We reprised a bunch of the cover songs we had done. We added a few new ones. We did a lot of the same originals that we did in 2018, but we added some new ones, took out some old ones. But again, had a different show every night, which was great. Very successful tour. In 2023, we took that same tour to Europe. We spent almost 4 weeks in Europe, which was great. Played a lot of cities we hadn't played before. Paris. We played in Germany for the first time. Vienna. Great time. Went to Australia for almost 3 weeks after that. And at the end of that, for the first time ever, we played Hawaii as a band. Mm-hmm. So, which marked, one, it was the end of the tour, but it also marked the 50th state that we had played. We played everywhere, Alaska too. Mm-hmm. And now we played Hawaii. So we played all 50 states, plus DC, of course. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty cool. So 2022, 23 was a great couple of tours. 2024 will be off. We normally tour 2 years in a row and then take a year off. And we are planning on coming back in 2025. I think probably with the full show, costumes, videos, the whole thing. And return to a lot of the parodies, a lot of the hit parodies. We'll probably play some of the new songs. Maybe Al will write a new polka. I don't know. A lot of, we got more than a year to think about it at this point. But that's kind of what's been going on,
Yeah, you know how it is with Al. I'm sure he'll come up with something like that.
Well, yeah. Well, he also, given that we haven't had a whole lot of new songs out, he wants to present something that makes it worth it for the fans to come see the show, which is why the orchestral tour changed things up. That 2018, and 2022, the Vanity tours, where it's all stripped down, kind of unplugged. That's a new approach. We're not playing new songs, but some of them we're doing in a different way. Some of them we're playing for the first time. We had to learn some of these originals. We hadn't played them since we recorded them. So we had to learn and relearn a ton of songs, which, in some cases, we had to figure out vocals. We had to figure out endings for songs, that we didn't have endings for before. And so there was a bit of work involved. We actually did rehearse for the 2018 tour, and we rehearsed a bit for 2022 as well. But the fans loved it. They loved it. And I think Al will bring something to the next tour that the fans will love as well. It's not going to be, well, he's going to have films or he's not going to have films, and we know what to expect. And no, it's going to be another level.
Okay. Well, yeah, and you just mentioned a little while ago. You mentioned the the Weird Al Yankovic story. It was a very funny movie, and if anybody out there wants to check that out, go check it out. It might even be on DVD now. I don't know, but
It has come out on DVD, Blu-ray, and ultra high definition 4K. I don't even know what that is, but you can get. I mean, I think you can still stream it on Roku also. But it is out in December. It came out in physical format with commentary, which is something you don't get by streaming it. And it was a very well done movie, and was up for 8 Emmys. In fact, it had just won 2 Emmys on the first round of Emmys. There's like sort of a not a secret Emmy, but more of a less public ceremony, and then a week later they do like the broadcast version, and it's been up for several Emmys, and Al won along with the co-writer Eric Appel, won an Emmy for outstanding television movie, and then there was also an Emmy for the movie score, outstanding music composition for a limited or anthology series, and and the two guys that did like the scores, not the band stuff, but all the other incidental music, they won an Emmy for that, which is a feather in Al's cap as well, of course. So it's got two of the 8 Emmys it was up for, and I'm not sure what happens after that. We'll find out soon.
okay. And like you said, you won't be on tour again until 2025, so we'll have to wait another year. But you can always go to al.com and weirdal.com and check out all the latest news regardless. And I'm sure you'll be excited about that.
Yep.
Um, and we're going to be playing one of your drum solos here in a second. Is there anything you want to say about that?
Oh boy. Well, this drum solo actually, I it's from 1999, so it's an extended drum solo. It's considerably longer than I normally do, so it's a special bonus, the bonus material drum solo, and yet it is still what did somebody call it once? The most mercifully short drum solo in the history of rock and roll. So so it's still mercifully short.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a second, but I think that's about all the time we have for right now. I want to thank you so much again, John, for coming back on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Anytime you want to come back, let us know. We'll have you back on a third time.
Oh, great. I'll see you in 12 years.
Okay. All right. Well, here it is, John Bermuda Schwartz drum solo, and it begins right now.